Wondering about the woman kicked in that viral video. Our Rachel Niemi tracked her down tonight and asked for an interview.
And Mike, what happened in that video is getting a lot of attention. So Rachel Niemi is joining us now from our newsroom. That young woman, only 21 years old. Rachel, what does she say led up to that moment?
Mike and Lisa, she joined the protest late, about 2 hours after it started. And while she admits she really wasn't following police orders, Hannah Silva says she was peacefully protesting and the officer who kicked her needs to be held accountable.
I couldn't see anything and then I just hit the ground. I felt something and then I fell.
This video, taken during the riots in downtown Erie Saturday night, shows 21-year-old Hannah Silva being maced and then kicked by a police officer.
I guess they decided that they couldn't just go around me, that they needed for me to leave to get to the protesters behind me, even though I was sitting in the middle of the road, and it was just me at that point.
The protest started peaceful. When Silva arrived about 2 hours after it started, she says things were rowdy, but nothing violent.
Held our ground with the police. They told us to leave, told us to disperse. We didn't, and we kept chanting. We kept kind of just staying there. At one point, they started to try to come forward, trying to push us further down the road, and we tried to hold our ground.
Silva explains that she and a handful of others formed a line between police and other protesters. That's when she says things started to get tense and escalate.
They threatened to start spraying us, and when they actually started pulling out the mace, a lot of the people from this front line dispersed.
Silva stayed and eventually ended up sitting in the middle of the street, alone, like you see on video. And that's when one officer is seen stepping forward and kicking her.
Wouldn't go around me. They would not let me just sit there peacefully, hands up, and they started macing me. So I went to go cover my eyes with my hands so that it wouldn't be as bad. I couldn't see anything and then I just hit the ground. I felt something and then I fell.
Mayor Schember says the officer's actions will be investigated.
Their line could not move beyond until she moved. She wasn't doing anything wrong, but she was preventing the police from stopping the people behind her from getting things done. That will be investigated.
Silva doesn't understand why things escalated so much, since she says she was peaceful the whole night.
The entire point of what I did was supposed to be, peaceful and passive. I wasn't engaging with them. I hadn't the entire night beyond chanting. I hadn't thrown anything. I hadn't, heckled them at all. And for the good chunk of times, my hands were just up.
As for the officer that kicked her, Silva wants accountability.
They have to know that that's not okay. I was peaceful. Granted, I was not doing what they said. They said disperse, and I did not. And I take full responsibility for that. I shouldn't have been kicked in the face and thrown onto the ground.